Hey YouTube, this is Foo3112, and today I had to make a stop by my bank, and I'd figure let me take a look in my safety deposit box and kind of make a video of the cards that I have in there, and I'll kind of speak a little bit about those, maybe some prices I got them for, what they're valued at now, why I picked these certain cards to go inside my safety deposit box. So I have quite a few cards show, but this is pretty much the main thing right here, so I'm going to just kind of dive right into it. And the first one that we are going to look at is the 1939 Play Ball Joe DiMaggio. This is in the PSA grade of an 8. This card, I believe I got one like in 2014. The centering is magnificent on this card. Just really good. And God, what did I get this for? I think it was like 4,500 at the time, and I think like VCP had it at about like 34 or 36, around there, like within that little range. And the person offered it to me for, what was it, 48, and then I think I came back with like 45, and we kind of broke even at about like 46.50. So that was again about like 2014 or 15. I can't exactly recall. I'd have to go back and check the original video. But anyways, one of the best purchases I ever made. This card today sells on average of maybe between like 12 and 14,000. This copy right here for an 8, I have had offers on this one before. Not that it was for sale, but just I showed it off before. And honestly, I mean, I probably wouldn't even look at anything under 25,000 for this copy. I mean, it's a card that I've sent to PSA twice to be reevaluated as far as grading. Try to get an 8.5, and I don't think it's going to get a 9. And I'm going to say, because this little red, or I'm sorry, that little black dot right there, so I don't think it will get a PSA 9, but an 8.5, I mean, I've seen uglier copies of 8.5, so I don't know why PSA doesn't want to bump this one, but just a really great, magnificent looking card. Sharp corners, razor sharp, and I think it'll beat any 8 that I've seen. Whoops. I think it'll beat any other 8 that I've seen. So yeah, even though this one says an 8, I mean, I treat this one like it's an 8.5 really, so just beautiful card. The next one, this is one that I have had questions about, of course, if I still own the famous 52 Topps Mickey Mantle. If you've seen my previous videos, same thing, of course. This one was picked up at the 2019 National, of course, before the card boom, and also this card, also not this one in particular, but the card in general, just made headlines this past week for, it was an SGC and a 9.5 sold for like 12.9 million or something, just really crazy. But yeah, it's a lot of money, but it is just a great looking example. I mean, that other one was, you know, top to bottom, left to right, was just magnificent. The corners were really nice on that one. And yeah, so I kind of get excited when I see those kinds of grades, and or those kind of auctions, or, you know, the final price listing, because all it does is going to make cards like this kind of go up eventually in the long run. But this one I picked up, and what was it? I had a home, and I sold the home, and after I paid back the bank of what I owed, I was left with a substantial amount of equity. So I went ahead and I purchased this one in cash, and that was just kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime experience to get this. And when I did pay for it, I thought that I paid, I don't know, maybe about, it could have been 10, maybe 15,000 over at the time. This card today, I can tell you that I've probably doubled in value in this one, and I would probably price this one between about like maybe 180 and 200,000. So I promise it's going to be all downhill from here, because this is pretty much, yeah, this is pretty much the cream of the crop right here. Well, actually, you're going to see another one, but all right, moving on. 1984 Donruss Don Mattingly, great card. This is actually, I've owned like 3 copies of this card, and just really iconic card, especially those who collected in the 1980s. Don Mattingly, of course, 1984 Donruss. There's currently a pop, I think, of about like 300 of these, and I think when I had my first copy, I think the pop was under 100, I'm gonna say, so it was even more scarce than that. I think that was like around 2012, my first copy that I owned in 10. Sold that one, bought another one, centering wasn't as good, and then I eventually found this one, and then sold that second copy off. So this one, just a really nice copy, centering left to right, top to bottom, just magnificent, sharp corners, no dinged edges from the PSA holder. And this one, I think I bought for, it was actually $5.99, is what it was, and I think that was like in 2017. I'm gonna say maybe 2016, but I bought it for $5.99, and I remember I was a little hesitant to buy it because at that time they're selling for maybe like $5.50 or under. So I went ahead and I purchased it pretty much, we'll just say $600. Today this card ranges between, I don't know, between like 3,200 and 4,000, I guess. So again, just great iconic card. This next one probably is, I mean, what can I say? I mean, you got the 86 Jordan Fleer iconic card. Of course, some do prefer the 80, I think the 84 star, but as far as the, it comes like Topps or basketball cards, which is Fleer. I mean, this is Jordan's first Fleer rookie card, I guess you can say, right? So this card was purchased by my wife, and this was at the 2019 Nationals. So when I went to go pick up the mantle, she had some cash that she was saving, and she was like, hey, I think I want to also buy something. I'm like, all right, cool. What do you have? So she told me an amount, and I don't want to say exactly what this was for, but I will say that it was under 30,000. And no, it was still under 29,000 and even less than that, to give you an idea, okay? So yes, these cards, I think there was two examples that sold for like 750,000, which is crazy. Could I have sold this one, or could we sold one? And yeah, that would have been great. I mean, those prices, I don't think that they were, God, how can I say, it wasn't sustainable, and I figured that the cards were going to go down in price. And I think today, the last one sold maybe like a few days ago, and that was for about 210,000. So, it's like one of those things, like, half glass full or half glass empty. For the price that was paid for this, I mean, it's, we're still laughing about it, just, the deal that we got on this card. So it's just amazing. Again, it's paid off. It was paid in cash, just like the mantle. And, I view this card like $1 million card. I mean, I really do. My wife and I, we bought a home, and we can get that mantle and this Jordan, and we could pay off that home today. No problem, and we wouldn't have a mortgage payment at all. But I see more value in holding this as well as the 52 mantle, just because I feel that with over time, it's going to build a lot more equity than the home will, because I think home averages between like maybe 3.5% a year, but the Jordan and the mantle, I mean, they've already done, God, it's just so much better within that short amount of time. So definitely going to be holding on to those for the long run. And again, we don't need the money or anything like that. So yeah, these cards are just in here. So 87 Fleer Jordan, second year Jordan card. For this one, I had a friend who he was selling off some things, and this was one of the cards he had. And I remember he put it like on a forum, and I think this was like back in 2015, I'm gonna say. And this card was just sitting there for like a few days, and I'm like, damn, you know what? I'm like, I'd go for it. It's Jordan's second year Fleer card. So I went ahead and I gave him $1,000 cash, as well as another card that was valued at about $1,900 at the time, maybe $1,700. It was a 1957 Ted Williams. It's the number one card in that set. It's kind of like when he's just swinging, kind of like taking like a batting practice swing. He's like right in front of the camera. So really cool card. I'm sure that you've seen it, even if I described it horribly. But anyways, I gave him that one and $1,000. So pretty much I'm valuing this one that I purchased at about $2,900. This card sells right now pretty consistent for an average of $15,000. Again, I've had it since 2015, so it's taken some time to get there. But in 2020, I remember I think when the whole COVID thing kicked off, and that was like early March or April, I think they were still for under, I think it was like under 4,000 at the time. So it's done pretty well as well, and hopefully it continues to go up. But of course, as you guys know, these cards did go up. This card, I think at one point, I think there was a sale of like 58,000. The 86 was again that sale of like 750, and they've over time they've dropped off. I feel that the value have leveled off now, I guess. So I don't see them really dropping at this point. They're just kind of leveling off, and I think that if they even went further south as far as price, I think you have a lot of investor type people who would go ahead and buy them up. So I don't think you're ever going to see 2019 or pre-pandemic prices again. I think those days are long gone. So here's another one, Jordan's third year Fleer card, 88. This one's just kind of weird. I mean, it's just, there's just so many different fonts on this card. unless you were like a kid, like I think Josh rated rookie, I think that he loves this card, the 88 Fleer. I'm not in love with it, because I didn't collect as a kid, so it's not something that I really have nostalgia over. Um, but it's Jordan's 30-year Fleer card, so why not? So this card, it was purchased, I believe, for like $3,000. I think it went as high as, God, I don't know if it was like 8,000 or 12,000. It was definitely over 8,000 at one point during that madness. But today, I mean, you can probably get this card for about 3,400. So, still ahead when it comes to this one. And one of my favorite cards, this is the 1993 Derek Jeter SP card. Just a beautiful looking card. What I really like about this one is at the corners, there's not really too much white going on here. Maybe that little blue corner, just like a little hair there. But otherwise, I mean, it has a pretty nice surface for the most part. There's like some like little scratches right up here. I don't know if you can kind of see that. Yeah, I think you can see that right there. But so that's probably what's keeping it out of a 10 holder. Not only that, I mean, this card is notorious just for, for coming out of the pack already, which doesn't meet the minimal size requirements. A lot of them get an 8 or less. I think right now there's a population of about 613 of these, and I think there's like 22 10s the last time I checked. And I know a few of those 10s are trimmed. I think that's already been proven as well. So, I guess the name of the game is if you can get into the holder. But regardless, I mean, even a 9, when you have so many of these graded and there's only 613 of these, it really just goes to show how scarce this card is. But definitely iconic card. One of my favorite cards of the 1990s, probably. If the 89 Griffey is the iconic card of the 80s when it comes to baseball, then I think this one would probably be for the 90s. And again, that's just what I think about that one. Following up with another Jeter card, this is the 1993 Topps Gold, Derek Jeter in a 10. If you're not familiar with this, I think each pack of 1993 Topps, it came with a gold card. And then, or if you bought like, let's say the complete set, you get about 10 gold cards. And then they also, so this is like the regular base one, but the gold version. And then they also have like a Rockies inaugural season as well as a Marlins inaugural season. I think at the time that I bought this, I think the Rockies had like a lower pop than the Marlins one. And it says like Marlins inauguration or inaugural, something like that, or Rockies. But I didn't want one that said Marlins or Rockies. I'm just kind of like old school, and I just kind of wanted the traditional, the original Topps Gold version of this card. And so this was like in 2019 that I bought this one, I think for like $1,100. I think today they're about between $2,200, maybe $2,400 or so. So it should be within that range. So I've done pretty good with this one. And I believe that this one is actually the most expensive one when you compare all three, meaning the gold versus the gold Rockies or the gold Marlins one. So I'm very glad that I ended up with the just the basic gold one. So card that I recently got this year, I believe this was like in March or April. This is the 1996 Topps Kobe Bryant rookie card. Great card to own. Think about it. I mean, you could get a Kobe Bryant card for $1,000 these days. I think like it goes pretty much around like 1150 is like the average, but I have seen it go just under 1,000, and I've seen them go for about 1,200. When I bought this one in March, I already knew it was going down in price. I remember when this card was about $5,000. Again, that was during that earlier part of that COVID craziness when prices were all over the place. So I just would watch this card drop 5,000, 3,500, 3,000, 2,000. And eventually it got to about like 14, or no, I think it was like 16 still. And I got this for about like 14.25 or 14.35. I don't exactly remember the number. This card today, again, it could probably be had for about 11.50, even under, depending on centering. Centering is always a big issue with this card. This one, a little bit like top to bottom. It's just kind of like just like a hair off. I mean, it's nothing really major, but the card itself, I mean, it really has strong, sharp corners, and that's kind of what really attracted me to this. Not only that, but I would look at a lot of them, and left to right or top to bottom was just atrocious. I wasn't attracted to that at all. So I found this copy at the Dallas Card Show, and that's where I picked that one up again. That was about March or April. This one is one that I picked up, what was it? I think like 2017, 2011 Topps Update, Mike Trout. This is iconic card. This is perfect example of what a baseball card should look like. I mean, it's just Trout, I think he went like for 8 seasons without getting injured. Of course, he was injured recently. I don't even know if he's playing again at this moment, but I mean, this guy's a sure bet, just like Derek Jeter is. I mean, this is, the Derek Jeter for, this generation. A lot of younger collectors are discovering this card, or this is kind of like their white whale card. So just a really great card to own. This card also, I believe, at one point reached prices of up to like over $8,000. I think today it could be had for about maybe $1,750 to about $1,900. So it's kind of like slipping in price a little bit. But still, just a great card to own, and I certainly would not mind picking up a second copy of this card. Yeah, especially once he announces retirement, and then once he gets into Hall of Fame, I think this card's going to do great things. So, but I like that card so much, in fact, that I picked up the Diamond Anniversary Edition, and this one I picked up at the 2021 National. This one I picked up for $15,000. Yes, some of you might be saying ouch, because today this card could be had for about maybe $10,500. Beautiful card. I really do love this card. And I think during the pandemic, I remember they were going for like, I think just north of 7,000, and I made an offer on one. And we're kind of like going back and forth a little bit, but the deal didn't happen because I really didn't know what was about to come, meaning that card prices were going to go insane. And eventually this card, I mean, there's sales in the $30,000 range for this card, and I think that was about April of 2021. And of course, prices have softened, and I knew that going into the National, the 2021 National, the prices would also be slipping a little bit. Again, I got it for $15,000. This card today could be had for about maybe $10,000, $10,500. This is a card that I could just look at this card all day, honestly. It's probably one of my favorite cards. Centering, left to right, top to bottom, is pristine. Sharp corners, great looking card. Iconic card of just a great player. I don't think anyone watching this video would even question whether he'd end up in Hall of Fame. So just a really good card. And if it's a card that you want in your collection, I would suggest maybe trying to get some stuff and selling it to try to get this one while you can, because I'm pretty sure this card's going to go back up a lot sooner than what people are thinking maybe. So the next one on the list, Ronald Acuna 2018 Topps Chrome. This is Sapphire Edition. Great looking card. This is in a Gem Mint 10, and I like this card so much, in fact, that looking at two copies over here. So Ronald Acuna Jr., probably the new face of MLB, just a great player. This season, unfortunately, he's kind of, he hasn't produced what I guess expectations were as far as what everybody thought he was going to do. I think he's at like 10 home runs or just a little bit over. So stealing bases is doing great. But yeah, he's striking out a lot. So hopefully it's something that will be corrected sooner. I don't know if he just has to change something within the swing or whatnot, but this card I feel like has a lot of potential. Just a great looking card, and beautiful looking, in fact. Matter of fact, I'm convinced that these cards are short prints within the Sapphire boxes. Of course, within these boxes came about, I think, like 100 of these. Not the Acuna's, obviously, but different players. And then you had like a red version and an orange version. I don't remember right now, but there was who was it? I think it was like Phil Hughes, like Phil's Pools or whatever. I think he opened like 7 of these boxes, and within 7 he only got 1. So if that's not an example of a short print, then I have no idea what it is. But it's crazy because he was just pulling doubles or copies of other players, but I think he only pulled 1 Acuna out of 7 boxes. So 1 out of 700. I mean, yeah, I think Topps certainly knew what they were doing with this guy. And another one, this is the base version. Well, not really the base version, but it is the short print of the 2018 Topps Ronald Acuna Jr. This is a card that I always get excited about when I see it. This is the short print version. It's also known as the bat down. As you can see, he just finished a swing, so bat down. And this card, I believe, comes about 1 per case. This card actually had doubles this one, but I recently sold one for about $2,000. I'm kind of glad I sold it for that, because now they're worth about, I don't know, $1,000, $1,050. So this is another one, like the 2011 Topps Update Trout. This is certainly another one that I wouldn't mind having another copy eventually down the line. But yeah, if you're a fan of Acuna and you can't afford that one, then I would recommend picking up this one. Again, you could probably have it right now for about $1,000 cash at any card show that you go to. Just a great card to own. So iconic. I mean, this, I think everyone has seen this photo already. So, and this, for those who don't know, this is actually his first swing. It ended up being a pop fly on the warning track, and of course, I mean, he was out on this one. But again, this is a picture of his first swing. first Major League Baseball in the majors. Yeah, so that was his first swing. So if you didn't know that, that is what that photo is of. This was one that I picked up. I don't know if it was like April or May, but this was the 2018 Topps Update. Ron Acuna Jr. white jersey with bat. This is the SSP, which stands for super short print, or no, listen to me, super short print SSP. Yes. All right, there we go. So this one is very scarce. This card right here, there is another short print as well. There's the one with Acuna that he's wearing, also a white jersey, but this one's a batting one. The other one, it says with glove, and he's kind of running to dugout. He has the glasses on. That one actually has a smaller pop, I think of maybe like 55, 56. I think this one, last time I checked, has like 58 or something like that. So, but this card is just another example of an iconic, beautiful baseball card, and I had to sell quite a few things to get this one. I bought this one, and I mean, it kind of sucks, but I pretty much paid high for it. I paid in February. I thought it was kind of good time since Acuna was going to probably make his return. I think he missed the first month because he was still rehabbing, but I think he started DHing as I think like late April, and then I think he started playing on the field again, I think in May. So I had high expectations for him this year. Unfortunately, it hasn't panned out this year, but he's still young. How old is he? He's, when was he born? 97, so 97 or 7. So he is about, what, 20... Is it 97? Like 24 years old or so? So 23. So the guy is like very young still. A lot of potential for him. And yeah, so I think this card's going to pay off in the long run, certainly. So again, 2018 Topps Acuna, Ronald Jr. with bat. These next ones over here, I'm going to just kind of go through them really quick because this video is already going into minute 22 and I want to keep this under 30 minutes. So this one, 64 Topps, Tony La Russa. This one I sent through him TTM and he signed it. I think I picked this copy up for like $7 raw, and then I sent it to him, so he signed it, got it holdered. This one, Bill Buckner, I sent it to him also. He was doing signings, I think, for like $5, so I think I got him like a few times. But what's really special to me about this card is that I sent it to him, and by the time I got it back, I think like 4 weeks later, his passing was announced. So I was kind of like, wow, like, you know, this kind of caught me off guard, and I think a lot of people as well. So this one kind of holds, you know, sentimental value to me. This is the, again, 1970 Topps Bill Buckner rookie card signed, and that one, again, is one they sent through him TTM that he signed for $5. 1985 Don Mattingly. This is when I lived in Miami. I would get him all the time. Super nice signer, very nice guy, very gracious with his time to the fans. So Don Mattingly, 1985 Topps Mark McGwire, great card to own. This card was a PSA 8, but I mean, looking at the corners of this, I mean, this card could have been like a PSA 9. It's really that nice. So again, this was in the PSA 8 holder, and I bought this one, I think they're selling for like $22 at the time, but this was such a nice copy that I think I ended up paying like $35 for it. And when I got it in hand, I cracked it out, and then I sent it for private signing, which it was like $80 or $75, I forgot, but came back, signed beautifully right there in the middle. So I like that he didn't sign anywhere on his face. He kind of signed it in a prime spot, and I just really love this card. So this card was also crazy, like during that whole Sammy Sosa McGwire race. Well, what year was that, like 98? Yeah, I think it was like 98 when him and Sammy were going for Maris's record. So this card was crazy expensive. I think we're all like $250. So of course it has dropped down significantly, but this card certainly has its place in the hobby. Another one, 1985 Topps Roger Clemens. I had 2 copies of this. I sold this one. I kept this copy because I liked the signature better on this one as far as with the pen. The other one had like a blue Sharpie, but a little thicker. And these he would sign in his foundation for like $25. So I have a few cards signed by him, but again, I had 2 of these. I sold one off. So now he charges, I believe, like $100. But again, this one I got signed for $25, and I think I probably bought like a PSA 8 for like maybe $10 at the time. Cracked it out, submitted it, and then once it got signed, I went ahead and had him sign it. So great looking card. Let's see, the next one here is 1987 Topps Tiffany Don Mattingly. I love Tiffany cards. I'm a big fan of them. And the reason why I got this Tiffany signed is because a lot of people, you know, there's a ton of the regular base signed. But as far as Tiffany, I mean, you don't really see too much of those signed. So that's why I opted to go for the 87 Topps Tiffany instead of the 87 base card. But this one came out really nice. This one I got signed in person, submitted myself to PSA. Canseco 88 Fleer. So Canseco, of course, in 88, set a record 42 stolen bases, 40 home runs, or it could have been the other way around. But this one, actually happened to find his address online, and I sent it to him, and he actually signed it. And this card came out beautifully, and I didn't have to send him anything except just a card and a self-addressed stamped envelope, and he sent it back to me. So I was really happy to get this one. I really do love this card. This one is one that I would never sell, and I have a lot of Canseco signed cards, but this is probably my favorite one right here. So I love it. This was kind of him at his peak. And another card here is the McGwire version of that same set, the 88 Fleer, Mark McGwire, PSA DNA. This one, McGwire, I met him in person when he was still a bench coach with the Padres. This was about like 2018, I believe, because then I think in 2019 he stepped down to kind of spend more time with his family. But I actually met him twice. So the first one I got it signed. The Sharpie is horrible. The second time I got him on this card. And the Sharpie last streak kind of kills me a little bit, but otherwise just a great looking card. And this signature came out better than the other one, because the other one I signed, he kind of like signed it like sideways, like a side paneled it. So I really wasn't, it kind of like put me off a little bit. So I was kind of happy that I got another chance the next day when I saw him get dropped off at the stadium. And he stopped and he actually took time to sign it. So that was really cool. Here's another Tiffany card. This one, I submitted this one probably like in 2000, I'm going to say like maybe 15, when they were still doing the blue labels. Of course, the blue labels, they don't do those anymore. They still do the authentic auto, but it's just a red label, I believe. But the blue labels are obsolete at this point. But iconic card, another one for those who collected back in 1988. This card was pictured on the not the wax box. Yeah, the wax box is the 88 Topps. So that's always my memory of this card. But this, again, is a Tiffany version. You can kind of see it's a little more orangey and not as cardboard as the other ones. And automatically, I remember it was like the last day of the 2016 season, and the fans lined up, and he just kind of went down the line and he signed one for everybody. So this is what I went with. Great center on this card, 4 sharp corners. So this one is another one. This is a 1988 Topps Tiffany Fred McGriff card. Whoops. Fred McGriff card. This is a Tiffany. This one I sent in for private signing. I actually met him one time. I went to a party in Tampa, and him and Wade Boggs were at this party. And I remember I brought cards for Fred and also Wade. And Fred, he was just there kind of hanging out for a little bit. And I remember I was there playing ping pong, and I didn't really want to bother him. And he was kind of like by himself, just kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know if he was like, seemed like this kind of like depressed and introverted, and just, he wasn't like really mingling with people. I don't know if people really knew who he was or not. But he was at the party, and then I remember he was just kind of like out. It was like this rich guy's house in Tampa, and he was out by the dock by himself, and then he was just walking back in. And the brother of the person whose house it was, he brought a baseball, and he was there with his girlfriend, and he was like, hey, Fred, can you sign? And so it was like me and my friend were just playing ping pong, and this happened like right next to us. And the guy's like, hey, can you take a picture? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I went ahead and I stopped and I took a photo of them, and then I just went back to playing ping pong. And but again, I just, I didn't really want to bother him right there. I was going to wait till later on in the night, but then he ended up leaving early, and I never got a chance to get him. And he's pretty much a tough autograph from what I've heard, though. But I think in that environment, I'm pretty sure he would have signed for me. Eventually, after he left, then I went ahead and I brought 4 cards to Wade Boggs, and Wade signed them for me, no problem. So that was really cool of him. Another Tiffany card, 1988 Topps Jose Canseco. Got an inscription there at 88 AL MVP. Of course, this is his 40-40 season. I think since then there's been about maybe 4 other players who've done it. Who is it? I can't even remember. I know A-Rod's one of them. I think Barry Bonds is another. And then there's, I can't even remember. I think there's like 2 more maybe. 88 Topps traded Walt Weiss. So this one, I went to spring training for the Braves, and this was like in 2019. And Walt Weiss, he is one of the coaches. I don't know if he's a bench coach or whatever. But anyways, he was walking out, and nobody really called him over, so I called him because I'm a big A's fan. And he came over, super nice, signed some things for me. And on this one, of course, I asked him if I can get the inscription for the '88 AL Rookie of the Year. So he had no problem writing that on there. Super nice guy. Took a photo of me. Yeah, so Walt Weiss. Going back to that party, this was actually one of the Wade Boggs cards that I did get signed, of course, a blue label. So that party was, I think it was like 2015. So yeah, this is when I submitted in 2015, along with that other Mattingly Tiffany. But this is the, I wish I would have gone for the Tiffany version at this point, but this one's really cool. And I really do love this pose of Wade Boggs. So this was one of the signatures that he signed for me, or one of the cards out of the 4. So that one I got reholdered. This one, Gary Sheffield, '89 Fleer. This is one of his rookies for that year. This one is the Fleer version. And I went to a golf tournament, and Gary was there along with a bunch of other people. And I remember I was kind of doing something, and my buddy told me, hey, Gary's walking to his car right now. I'm like, oh, really? And I kind of like met him right at his car. And, you know, I just had to butter him up a little bit. Oh, Gary, you know, I'm from Miami, and I used to love when you were with the Marlins, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I did love him. I mean, this guy had like such a beautiful swing, I thought he was great when the Florida Marlins got him at the time. Of course, now they're Miami Marlins. But anyways, super nice guy. He signed one, and I was like, oh, can you do another? He's like, yeah, sure. So that was pretty cool, getting to meet Gary Sheffield. This one, '89 Canseco. I have a lot of good memories with this card. Not this one particular, not this copy, but the card in general, '89 Fleer. Of course, I got the inscription on it, '89 World Series champs. And this one came out really nice as well. This one, I got it through a private signing. I think it was like $12 or something like that. Something like super cheap, ridiculous. I mean, pretty much Canseco signed so much that if he can find something that he hasn't signed, it probably has more value than one that is. But anyways, '89 O-Pee-Chee, Wayne Gretzky. This is probably one of my favorite PSA DNA cards. This one right here, I sent it to him in the mail along with like a few other cards, and he actually signed them. And I've got him like that a few times. Now, this was only during like a short period. I think it was maybe for like 4 months or so that he was actually signing stuff in the mail. And it wasn't always a guarantee, but it was like a 80% guaranteed rate. But a lot of the people who were doing TTM at the time, they kept that information hush hush, including myself. I mean, I had somebody who asked me, and I was like, if you give me your card, I'll send it in for you, but I'm not going to give out the address. And of course, everybody, I won't share, but yeah, they'll share it. So that's what I did. And then that person's card came back signed also, so that was actually really cool. But '89 O-Pee-Chee, Wayne Gretzky, great looking card, super sharp corners, and I was really happy to get this one back. The signature came out really amazing, and yeah, this is a GOAT right here. So another one of my favorites, this is the Tiffany version, Canseco. Of course, I got with the 4040 inscription. This one, I actually sent it to him directly. There was a point that I was communicating with him, and I was doing private signings that people would send me cards of his, and I'd pretty much do group submissions, send it to him, and he would sign it, and in return he would also sign my stuff for free, which maybe I get like 5 cards or something, nothing crazy, you know. And this is one of the free ones that I got, and then submitted to PSA, got authenticated. Of course, this was back around 2015 this time, 2014, so this is blue label. One of my favorites also, '89 Tommy Lasorda. This one I sent to him in the mail. Tommy Lasorda unfortunately passed away, I believe, in 2020. I think he was like 93 years old or something like that. So he already looks pretty old in this photo, and so to think that he kind of went another 31 years or so. But Tommy Lasorda, I sent them things about 3 times, and I think from those 3 or maybe 4 times, I think I got a postcard back, one signed. That's the Hall of Fame plaque postcard, so I got it signed. And then when I submitted this one, which was on my last try, the 4th one, this one came back also with a postcard, so that's actually really cool at this point. I mean, you can see he was pretty much shaky with signature, so you kind of knew the end was near. And again, about a year or 2 later, he ended up passing away. So really glad to get that one. Besides him and Besides him and Tony La Russa, you know, those are my favorite managers. So David Ortiz, 2013. 2013, of course, was the year that Boston won the World Series, or at least one of them. So I had to go with that card. Ortiz, super nice. This is after he ended up getting shot, which he ended up in the hospital. And it was pretty serious here for a moment, but fortunately he pulled through. Now you, of course, see him as a MLB analyst, and with A-Rod and a few others, Frank Thomas. Super nice guy. Sometimes he's like a little moody and stuff like that, but when I met him here, I mean, he was really nice, and he kind of seemed like just to have like a, I don't know, like a second coming or something like that, because I think his whole experience with that, I mean, he was just, you know, smiling at everybody, taking photos, shaking hands. And again, this was at that same golf tournament that Gary Sheffield was at. So he was one of the people there. So super nice guy. This is the only time I got him, and very happy to have this one in my collection. 2013 Topps Dare Cheater. God, talk about a beautiful looking card. I mean, let's just take it away from the holder for a second. Let's just look at the card. I mean, he just signed it perfectly. And the Sharpie, I remember I bought a brand new Sharpie that day just from TU. So he was the first one to use this one. And I mean, you know, every letter could be made out, you know, meaning it's not like botch or anything like that. But yeah, just a great looking card. And this one I got the first day that he signed on to I guess as a face of, or you know, like one of the CEOs for the Miami Marlins, and I think this was like in 2000. God, I'm gonna say I don't know if it was like 17 or 18. Of course, he stepped down about a year ago, which I think was a smart move, especially if he wants to kind of build a team. He understands that you got to put money into it, but Miami being as cheap as they are, you know, they don't want to. So someone who's like Derek Jeter, who just wants to win no matter what, you know, I don't think he can stand behind that, you know. Like, if he doesn't see any potential as far as his team spending money in order to get bigger names or do, you know, get better players, then yeah, he's probably not going to, you know, his heart's probably not going to be in it, and I think that's why he stepped down. But just a great looking card, and for this one, I think I waited like 7 hours or something like that. I mean, it was like 6 or 7 hours. I kind of waited, and I knew that once he left the office, he was going to stop, and I figured because he was so brand new, that he was going to stop and sign. So there was a line about like 15 people that were there, and he went ahead and he stopped and he gave one autograph for everybody. We all lined up, went up to his window one by one, he signed. And then the next day I didn't go back, but I heard the second day he stopped and he told him like, hey, this is the last time. And he really meant it, because after that he didn't stop anymore, and this happened for a few years. He just wouldn't. So 2013 Top Steven Strasburg. This guy is one who just didn't pan out. I mean, he just seems like he is always broken. There's just always an issue with him no matter what. Of course, he was the MVP when the Nats won it in 2019, which is pretty cool, you know. But I mean, aside from that, you know, World Series or that year, I mean, this guy's just always been broken. But regardless, this one I got during spring training. He definitely had a lot of hype. I got this one, I think, in 2018 during spring training, 2019, just before they won the World Series, though. And I saw him on the field, and once he came off, there was about maybe 12 of us that lined up, and again, he got each one of us. So if you're really into autographs like me, spring training is the place to be, and that is in Florida or in Arizona typically. So 2014 Topps Chris Archer. Yes, one is not like the other. So you've already seen big names, Gretzky, you've seen Jeter, you've seen David Ortiz, you've seen whoever, right? Chris Archer. Well, this card right here, I was actually a big fan of the Rays during this period, and Chris Archer, I mean, he was phenomenal during his first few years with the Rays. Of course, once he went over to Pirates, you know, his numbers just went down. Then he went back with the Rays, didn't pan out. I think it was another team now. But I was actually really excited to get this card, and this card, I remember I went to Tampa to go see him play, and he was there sitting down talking to somebody, and I had this card out. And unfortunately, he didn't sign that day. So I think fast forward to about like a year or two later, I got him at the stadium when I used to live in Miami. For those who don't know, I recently moved to Texas about a year ago now. It's actually gonna be a year. And so that's where I obtained this one when he was being dropped off at the Miami Marlins Park. Marlins Park, I think, has like a different name now, like Lone Depot Park or something like that. So anyways, I was pretty happy to get this one. This one, 2014 Topps Nolan Arenado. I don't know if this is like the short print, because he has like another version also, but I think this one's a little more rare. So with this one, he got dropped off. There was about like, God, I'm going to say 25, 30 people all around him, and he was there walking with his luggage, because it was, I believe, on a Sunday. And after that game, then, of course, they fly back to the next city or fly back home, wherever they're going. I don't remember. But anyways, he's carrying his luggage. He stops, signs about 2 or 3 things. Everybody just, you know, is just, you know, asking for an autograph, and he's like, forget this, and he just gets his luggage and he's walking. So I knew that he wasn't going to sign anymore during that, with that big group, but he had to pass by a door to get inside the building. And I remember I kind of like stood a little bit just before the door, and as he's walking to me, I'm like saying like, Nolan, please sign. Nolan, can you please sign? And he's just ignoring me, and he has his AirPods in, right? But of course, I mean, you know, you can still, I was right next to him so he can hear me. And I remember I go, Nolan, please, my team sucks, meaning the Marlins. And he just stops, puts his luggage down, grabs my pen, signs a card, gives it back to me, and just walks right through the door. And I was like, holy crap, like, I can't believe that worked. So that was an awesome memory of this one. It was kind of funny though, and I like to imagine of him going back into the locker room and just being like, man, he should have heard what this guy just told me. You know, like his team sucks. That's how bad he wanted an autograph. So, but that was a really great one to get. So, great memory for me. 2016 Topps Chrome Christian Yelich. This is the refractor. This is I got this one signed when he was with Miami during his last year. This guy was signed for like a 5-year contract for like $47 million. So, and the Marlins gave him away. And I understand, like, you know, they had to sell off Giancarlo to the Yankees because pretty much the Marlins, you know, they had a check that they couldn't cash, you know, so they sold off Stanton and they sold off some other people as well. But Yelich was a guy that we could have kept. I mean, we had him for nothing, you know, just a great hitter overall, of course. And once we trade him to or sell him to Milwaukee, I think he became MVP and he had about 2 standout seasons. And he just did phenomenal. Now, I mean, he's not, unfortunately, like the last 2 years, he's definitely not the same player he was, especially coming off injuries. But, I mean, it's, you know, I would have even kept him the way he was with Miami before he became a star with Milwaukee. So, he was always my favorite player within the Marlins, even before he became famous. I think his first year was like in 2000. I'm going to say like 11 or 12. I don't remember, but I was always a fan of this guy. I mean, when people were trying to always get Giancarlo, I was always chasing Yelich. So, thankfully, he was with Miami for enough time that I ended up getting him on a lot of my items. But this is one of my favorite ones to get. Just beautiful signature on this one. So, this one right here, the 2018 Topps Chrome Juan Soto. This is actually probably like a pop 7 now or something like that. I think last time I checked it was like a 5. I'd probably have to imagine it's like a 7 now. But when I first got this one, this was a pop 1 at the time. And for those who do graphing, Juan Soto, he's been doing more of this recent, but he was doing the J.S. and then he'll put his number on there. But just kind of like a really cheap looking signature though, but this is a one that you definitely want to get. Just a great card, and I had one of these. This is like another one though, but I had like a regular one, and it was before, it was, what was it, before, what am I going to say? It was raw. So I had this one raw. I bought it at a card show, and I think I bought it for like $8 or something like that. I don't even remember. But I didn't think this card was going to come back a 10. I thought it was going to come back like a 9, and the auto was going to be a 10. But yeah, surprisingly enough, I went ahead and I submitted it, and it came 10/10 dual grade, so that was really nice. So really great card. I don't think I'm ever going to sell this one. It's just, you know, the memory that comes with it's really good. And he did not want to sign that. They definitely not. But, you know, you just gotta kind of work them a little bit, and sometimes they'll break down and they'll sign, or sometimes they're just very, you know, they made up their minds, you know, long ago, so that they don't want to sign. So that's the thing. Also, this is another guy super tough to get, Jose Altuve. Of course, I got him this during the apology tour after that information was leaked. I think it was like in 2020 that the Astros, that they cheated, stealing signs. Altuve says, of course, that even though he knew what was going on, that he never participated in that. But you know what? If you still know what's going on and you fail to report it or to kind of do something about it, you know, and unfortunately, you are tainted with it regardless whether he actually was aware or not, or whether he, I don't know, had some sort of device underneath his shirt. But unfortunately, his career is tainted. Is it tainted enough for him to not become a Hall of Famer? No, certainly not. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, and it's going to be debatable, of course, when he gets in, but I feel that he's a lock regardless whether he gets in on the first or second year. But, you know, for a small guy, I mean, he definitely has a lot of power. Just a nasty guy, though. In person, I mean, just not a nice guy at all. I would go there previous years, and I would have a, you know, the Sharpie in one hand and a card in another, and he would be taking people's items, and then he would look at me, and then he would just say, like, he'd point to you and just say, nope, nope. And so he would do it a lot for kids and stuff like that, but for adults, I'm just kind of thinking, like, who do you think are taking these kids to meet you? Who do you think is paying these kids to enter the ballpark and for the games? You know, like, this goes towards, you know, the team and your salary and stuff like that. So for, you know, for someone not to sign something, it's kind of like, really? You know, and I understand. I mean, you know, I'm all about kids getting stuff signed too, but it's like, damn, you know, like, I'm sorry I wasn't a kid when you were playing, you know, but I'm an adult now and I'm still a fan. And, you know, as a signature, it doesn't cost these people anything, you know, and I know a lot of people like to get their stuff and sell it and things like that. But as you can see, I mean, you know, this signature is probably over like 3 years old now, or 2.5 years, and I still have it. So, You know, this is for my personal collection, and these are things that I enjoy and I like. So, anyways, after this, I was able to get him on 2 more cards, and of course, you know, shortly after he stopped signing again, you know, and he goes back to his old Jose Altuve ways. And this is going to be the last one that I have to show today. It says 2018 Topps Max Scherzer PSA DNA. This card, I wish I would have done it like a dual grade auto, honestly. This card, to me, it looks like it's a 10. I mean, if you look at these corners, you know, this is good enough for me to be in a 10. I think dual grade, I think this would be a 10. So this card came out really, really phenomenal, really fantastic. This guy was probably surrounded for like, God, I want to say like 85. It was crazy. Like, he was behind the fence and he just finished like warming up or whatever, and he was coming out, and everybody, like, he just kind of went to one side of the fence, kind of like near me, and then he signed some stuff, moved to another side, then came back to my side, and he was just taking nothing but baseballs. Like, it was just baseball after baseball after baseball. And of course, this was in spring training, by the way, 2019, and you know, people are holding out like jerseys, or no, 2020, I think. People are holding out jerseys and other stuff, yeah. And then he finally just took my card, and he was just sweating because he just like finished working out and stuff like that, like on the field, and he was sweating. I remember he just grabbed my card and he signed it, and I thought, and he gave it back to me, and I thought that there was gonna be like dribbles of sweat or whatever, like, you know, because he was sweating so much. And I got it back, and no, not one thing of sweat touched his card. So that was great. But this guy's just phenomenal too. Just an amazing pitcher. Him, Verlander, DeGrom. I mean, those guys are just, you know, they're really good at what they do. And I think it's also going to be no question that he's going to be a Hall of Famer as well. So, anyways, that is it. That is what is in my safety deposit box. And the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I had to pass by here today. And I know I've been talking about, I'm going to make a video of stuff that I have in here. The reason why I have stuff in my safety deposit box is because these are things I really just don't want to sell. You know, sometimes, or what I've noticed in the past is that when I have cards at home, I do sell them. You know, sometimes I'll look at them because I find something else. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe if I get this and I put this together, then I could come up with this amount, you know, and then I have some cash, and you know what I mean? But I figured once you're in here, then, you know, out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. So anyways, I have another video coming up that I will be making probably in the next month or so. I'm going to see if I can pick the card up, but it's going to be a pretty big one, and I'll be making a video of that one shortly. So I'm not going to say what it is right now, but hopefully I can find it, and I can find it for a good price. And once I do, I would certainly love to share it with you guys. So anyways, if you guys like what you see, or if you guys have any stories of your own on any cards here, or any particular players or autographs, or anyone who was nice or jerk, whatever, just go ahead and comment below. Let me know what you think. If you liked the video, of course, give a thumbs up, and subscribe if you are. And if you're not, well, I'm okay with that too. Anyways, thanks for watching, and later.